Good morning, children. Today we are going to see a new lesson called The Listeners, written by the poet Walter John de la Mare. He was an English poet, a novelist, and a story writer. Many of his writings are meant for children, and this particular poem gives a deep meaning, as we can read as if it is a simple poem, but it gives a very deep meaning. Therefore, I want you to be very attentive as you listen this class. There are three things the poet wants the readers to understand. First thing, just he mentioned a traveler. This traveler is we human beings on this earth. The traveler has not given a name by the poet. It can be anybody, you or I. So this traveler represents all we human beings on this earth. We are in search of wisdom and knowledge. Our search for knowledge never ends. And quite often we are unsatisfied. And quite often we are confused. And we are not getting a clear-cut, a satisfied answer to our questions and doubts. And second thing, the poem takes place, the story takes place in a context, in a very remote place, in the forest, in an abandoned house at moonlit night. That shows the nature itself. We can see a bird and the traveler's horse munching or eating grass from the courtyard of the abandoned house, and it's a very solitude place. And that place itself shows the nature in its mystery. There is a gap between human life and the nature. There is many of us may not believe in the supernatural creatures, but the poet made to say, the other world, there is the living of the supernatural being, and they are the ghostly spirit. So these are the three realities that we have to keep in mind as we go into the poem. Now let us read the poem and understand the meaning of it. Is there anybody there? Said the traveler, knocking on the moonlit door. And he hears in the silence chop the grasses of the forest ferny floor. So a traveler came before a haunted house at a moonlit night. It was in a thick forest. There was no other houses around. And the traveler was all alone. There was not even a light on in or around the house. It was only in the moonlit night the traveler could see the house. Why did the traveler come there at night? Because he had to meet somebody in that house. And what was the demand of the traveler? The traveler demanded that the door should be opened. That is why he knocked on the door. And this very moment, the poet turns our attention towards his horse. What happened to the horse? The horse is eating grass that is grown around the courtyard and on the courtyard. There was no inhabitant for a quite long time. That is why the courtyard was full of grass. Forest ferny floor means the floor, the courtyard full of grass. If there is a human beings, we know we keep our house and surroundings neat and clean. We never allow the grass to grow. And the travelers, horse was hungry. It was surely coming from a far place and started to appease his hunger by eating the grass around the house. This is what is the sea. And see, and a bird flew up out of the turret above the traveler's head. At this very moment, the bird that was sitting on the turret was disturbed by the traveler's voice. The bird flew away just above the traveler's head because the bird did not want to be disturbed by the human beings. Very clear. Maybe in angry mode the bird has flown above the traveler's head. Now, what happened next? And he smote upon the door again a second time. Is there anybody there? He said. But no one descended to the traveler. No head from the leaf-fringed sill leaned over and looked into his grey eyes. For the second time, the traveler knocked again and shouted, "Is there anybody in the house?" Nobody responded. Nobody even peeped from the window. Nobody even put in their heads to see who is outside the house. And there, what happened? When he stood perplexed and still, even for the second time he knocked on the door and shouted loud. Nobody came out from the house, and the traveler was perplexed, confused, and stunned. Why? I wanted to meet somebody in this house. I am sure this is the very house I wanted to come. I came as I planned earlier. I have to meet somebody here. Why nobody is responding? Why nobody is welcoming me? Why nobody is not even minding to open the door? The traveler was confused. But now see, but other lines, the poet says, but only a host of Pandam listeners that dwell in the lone house then stood listening in the quiet of the moonlight to that voice from the world of men, stood stronging the faint moonbeams on the dark stair that goes down to the empty hall, hearkening in an air stirred and shaken by the lonely traveler's call. That place was very calm and quiet. No sound was heard there. The only sound that place disturbed was the traveler's voice. The only voice that was from the world of men was disturbed. The world of the spirit. Now, children who were residing inside, any living beings? No. The only living being there was as a man, the traveler. But who were inside? Maybe the spirit of those people, those who stayed there before. But now the poet says, those who listened to the voice of the traveler, those who heard the noise of the door are the Pandam listeners, the ghostly spirits who were inside the house. They were listening all these. Who are the listeners? Those Pandam listeners. See one thing, the name of the poem is not the traveler, but the listeners. And who are the listeners now? We understand the listeners in the house are the Pandam ghost, the ghostly spirit. They are inside. Because of the moonlit night, many things inside the house were not so visible. The traveler could see the step, the hall, and surroundings, but it was not so clear. Certain things he could see through the entrance. Who were inside the Pandam listeners? A group of ghosts, a ghostly spirit. They were the listeners. Did they respond to the call of the traveler? No. Did they open the door? No. Did they come out of the hall? No. They were inside. And he felt in his heart their strangeness. The traveler felt in his heart those ghostly spirits' strangeness. What a strange fellows are inside. Why they are not even bothering me? Why they are not responding to my call? Why they don't answer to my call? Why are not even least bothering to open the door? The poet expresses the feelings of the traveler here in this verse. The stillness answering his cry. What response these Pandam listeners gave to the traveler? Stillness. They did not move. They did not make any noise. No movement was made by these Pandam listeners. They remained inside their cloister where they were before. While his horse moved groping the dark turf, the poet says the horse was not bothering about the human beings. It was busy in grazing the dark turf, the grass on the ground, on the courtyard. It was busy, but the traveler was standing in front of the house all alone. Beneath the starred and leafy sky. So where was a horse grazing by itself? Beneath the starred and leafy sky. It was night. There was full of stars in the sky. It was a starry night. It was a full moon night. The stars were in the sky. And there was a tree standing on the courtyard. When the traveler looks through the branches of these trees, he could see the leaves are placed in the sky. The sky is decorated with the stars and the leaves of the trees. Another beautiful expression by the poet. The nature, the universe itself is beautiful, another contrast. The traveler is not able to understand or to experience, to enjoy the beauty of the nature. The poet expresses that. The traveler is not enjoying the beauty of the nature. The starry night. The sky is covered with the beautiful stars and the leaves of the trees, decorating the sky. So he suddenly smote on the door even louder and lifted his head. Tell them I came and no one answered, but I kept my word, he said. It was the third time he shouted. He smote on the door louder than before. The traveler is sure that there is someone inside the house. To them, understanding there are some listeners inside the cloister, inside the house, the traveler says, please tell them that I had come here. But nobody answered. I kept my promise, my word. As I had promised these inmates in the house, this household, I will be coming sometime in future. I came. But as I came, nobody opened the door. I kept my word. I kept my promise. But now I have to go back. Never the least stir made the listeners. The poet says, though even the third time shouted and knocked on the door more hard, nobody listened. The inmates in the house, they did not make any movement at all. They remained more calm and quiet. They did not give any heed to the traveler's call. The poet says, never the least stir made the listeners, though every word he spake fell echoing through the shadowiness of the still house from the one man left awake. The poet says, the only sound of the traveler was echoing in the house. It was calm and quiet. Only the traveler's sound was echoing in the house, the walls of the house. No response came out. Yea, they heard his foot upon the stirrup and the sound of iron on stone. The moment the traveler, he got back on his horse. As he mounted on his horse, that sound was heard. And the hoofs of this horse on the stone was heard. Only this sound was heard. And how the silence surged softly backward when the plunging hoofs were gone. As the traveler on his horseback started to go back to his place, the immediate retaining of the silence started again. As the hoof sound of the horse heard far and far, they had gone far, the silence came back to the place again. The only sound was made by man and his horse. No other sound was heard in that surroundings. Silence came back again to the place as it was before. Dear children, the poet ends the poem here, leaving so many questions in our mind. Who was this traveler? Why did he come there? What was his demand? Why the inmates of the house did not respond to his call? Why they did not receive him?